Hello, theme park fans, and welcome to episode 93 of the E-Ticket Report. My name is Chris Wakefield, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Tommy Hawkins
Hey everyone.
and Ryan Barr.
Howdy.
Jalen Harvey is out in the ether somewhere. I'm not sure. Um, we got a few things to get into. No major, massive news, theme park news, at least, this time of the year. But we do have the long delayed TEA theme park attendance numbers. And usually these come in, Ryan, is it like June or July we usually get these?
Yeah,
Earlier
it was
than that even?
a couple months late this year, which is suspect. Apparently, the reason is that they were having just staffing issues and they didn't finish it as fast as years past. But there was also rumors before that there was apparently a party that wasn't happy with the figures that were in the report. So we'll assume that that is Disney and that they were mad that their numbers were probably not boosted.
So let's expound on that a little bit, because what happens is most of these theme parks self-report their numbers to ACOM, which is the organization that TEA works with to gather theme park data. And then TEA kind of adjusts and goes, actually, we think it's more like this or this. And they kind of try to meet them in the middle, right?
Yeah, it's tough to say how they come to these numbers. It could be literally, who knows? It could be a straight up guess for all we know. That since 2012, these numbers have barely changed on Disney's side, but on Universal's side, we've seen pretty a lot of ups and downs. I don't know. Like it
Well, and I
seems like
think the top
Universal.
line,
It seems like Universal is honest about these numbers, and Disney is just like, give us the highest amount.
they try and work them and fudge them.
Yeah.
Or juke the numbers, as you might say on the East Coast over there. They juke the numbers quite a bit. We know that Disney theme parks, or Disney experiences, they call it now, is the top company when it comes to who draws theme park guests around the world. But getting some of the top line numbers, obviously the most popular, the most attended park in the world is in 2023, according to this data, is Magic Kingdom with 17.7 million guests. And that, according to this report, is a 3.4% increase.
Right.
Any funniness there?
So that's, shall we say, 3.3-ish off of the 2019 number, isn't it? Because I think,
That's 20. That's, yeah. Over 2022, it's 3.4%.
but I think the peak was 21 million. That's the number I always use as a general
Okay.
reference point. So if it was 21, yeah, we're sort of just call it 3.5 off of 4 or 5 years ago.
I think if you're
Right.
looking at the top 25 list, which is what grabs most people's attention, top 25 theme parks worldwide, I think the most surprising is number 3 is Universal Japan. Is only a million
Yes.
away from Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. And that's
And they're
surprising.
reporting an almost 30% increase from 2022.
Yeah, and they've always been up there ever since they started tracking this. I think their first report was in 2012. Their first report showed USJ somewhere around 9 million. So that's a 64% increase since 2012.
So I'm just
And
looking.
pre-pandemic, Universal Japan in Osaka in 2019 they reported 14.5 million guests, and now they're reporting 16 million. So 1.5 million extra guests over the pandemic period. What's to attribute to that? Is it purely Jurassic World and that
Well,
amazing attraction they have over there,
if you remember, Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland really
or is it
still
Potter?
hasn't even recovered from the pandemic fully. They don't have annual passes, and they don't. You know, if you want to go to the park, you have to buy a day ticket or a vacation package. So that kind of, holds them back from topping USJ. I think Universal Japan still has annual passes, and Tokyo doesn't.
So if you look
And
at
when
the
did Potter open in Japan?
Potter in Japan, I want to say that was what, 14 or 15.
Okay, so they already have that bump baked in.
Yeah, so looking at them, if sort of, so Disney Sea has seen a 20, call it 23% bump. Tokyo Disneyland 26%, and Universal Japan Osaka 30%. So could
This
we
is from 2022.
yeah. So could we assume that with the yen and all that, and how much easier it is for overseas, like in cost, tourists to go to Japan, that could be a significant factor in that it's just cheaper to go there than maybe what it was 3-4 years ago?
That's it, and it's Japan itself was still doing a lot of catch up in 2023 when it comes to post-pandemic travel in the country itself. Just people there in the country, the way we were doing in 2022, a little bit of catching up in travel, they were doing it a year or so later. So
Yeah.
they were still coming out of some of those protocols in 22, whereas we were earlier in the United States.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
But you're right, Ryan, that having Universal Japan outsell or outperform Tokyo Japan and Tokyo Disney Sea especially, which is widely considered one of the best theme parks in the world. It's at number 7 for attendance here on this list. Is quite something. At number 5 and number 6 are some Chinese parks, one of them being Shanghai Disneyland. And that's just a matter of you're in one of the most populous countries in the world. Naturally, you're going to have a lot of people coming to your theme park. So
Right. And we'll see.
that's just a numbers game at that point.
Universal
Yes.
Beijing's first year was 2022 being opened, so that we didn't get a full sample size from that year, but now that they're open 365, they hit about 9 million guests, puts them at 16th above Animal Kingdom. So I expect that to go up too. Universal Beijing.
Well, let's look at the Orlando parks. Let's look at Animal Kingdom, which, according to this report, had a 3% drop from 2022
Yeah. So
at only
obviously
8.7 million visitors.
So what's quite understandable is, the two Universal parks, Islands and Studios, having like pretty much consistent 10% drop, right? So that makes sense in terms of people going, there's a new park opening, I'm going to put off until that park opens. But what is the reason that DACA's got a 3% and what's the other one? Hollywood Studios has got a 6% drop. What would you attribute that to?
Well, and here's the thing is that, so let's look at the Disney parks. Disney says there was a 3.4% increase at Magic Kingdom. They're reporting a 20% increase at Epcot. They're reporting a negative 6% increase at Hollywood Studios and a negative 4% increase or 3% increase at Animal Kingdom. I think, this is anecdotal, if you look at the drop in Universal Orlando parks, half of that you can attribute to Epic Universe getting ready to open up, and the other half of that drop you can attribute to just overall less travel and less tourism to Orlando, mainly to Disney World. Fewer people coming to Disney World equals fewer people coming to Universal. That's something that's been true for the last 30 years, and we know that. So to not see a commensurate drop in Disney numbers is what gets our antenna up, where we go, wait a second, hang on now. You're fudging the numbers here.
Could I ask you?
Because we know bookings at hotels were down in 2023 by as much as 20 to 25% in some quarters. We know that. We know from travel agents who are telling us people are not going to Disney World in the same numbers they were pre-pandemic in 2022 and 2023. We know that. So we know attendance has been down. So for them to report a 20% increase at Epcot during all that construction remember all that construction in the middle of Epcot that was closed for half of last year. You're not going to tell me that Guardians itself gave you a 20% bump when that was on a virtual queue all of last year. Also, come on. Come on.
For me, and again, it's like just my sort of take on what it may be, and you can probably give us a bit of information on how the sort of ticketing habits of people like yourselves are, because obviously when I go, I book a 2-week ticket and that's pretty much all I can buy, so I can go to any park whenever I want. But like a lot, a lot of you people like yourself have a set number of days you're at the in Orlando, and you have to make a decision on what you're going to spend your money on and where you're going to go, etc. For me, is there a saturation point in terms of cost of the vacation, which could also explain things like why restaurant bookings and stuff are down, is that people have got that certain budget and they're just prioritizing what they want to go to, what's got the newest stuff, and going, right, Epcot has got Rewind, Kingdom has got Tron. Do I need to go to Studios? There's nothing new there. It's just last time I went there, the queues were massive. I had a horrible experience. There's nothing in Animal Kingdom's for me is pretty much a half-day park again. Like, why would I go to these? Why would I spend money in these? There's nothing new. I did it last time.
If Guardians were not on virtual queue and it had a 2.5, 3, 4 hour wait every single day last year, okay, I would kind of buy a 20% bump. But Guardians is on virtual queue, so we know you're not getting 20% more people in that park just to ride Guardians. That's not, the numbers don't add up there. And they sure as hell didn't come from Moana. The numbers just don't add up. It's not, and more people did not go to Epcot last year. I'm sorry.
The thing is with Rewind that's probably different from the other stuff that they've had before that's been on virtual queue is, for me, and I've said it before, that Rewind will probably never go away from virtual queue because the queue length is 400 feet long before you get to the merge room. So that said, as short as that queue length is, because they made that decision that they wanted to keep that energy pavilion rather than building something bespoke, and would probably be able to accommodate the amount of people that can go into the ride. But at the end of the day, the ride is probably one of the highest performing rides in terms of throughput. They're probably still getting what I think I calculated when it opened of around 2,000 an hour. So that does mean that they can put a lot of people through it. They just can't have them waiting in line to do that. So as much as the virtual queue usually indicates that kind of vibe,
What's the hourly input? What's the hourly input for Guardians?
It's around 2,000. So if you're
an hour, how many hours is the park open?
What time's your early magic start or whatever it's called?
8:30.
8:30 until 9. So a 12-hour day.
So 12 hours. That's about 24,000 people a day that can ride Guardians times 365. That's 8.76 million people. Do you think they're pushing that many people through every year?
No, they're realistically getting between 14 and 1,800. That's like the average. If the maximum
when it's not down,
when the maximum is 2,000, the
average... no, the maximum's the maximum's not 2,000. It can do about 2,200, I think, or even 2,400. I worked it out. I'm giving you a realistic hourly number that I can do. I can go back to the tweets.
Even if it can do 2,400, they're not. If
I don't buy that an extra 2 million people extra came to Epcot last year. I'm not buying this. I'm sorry, that's absurd. When the park was torn to bits, the middle of the park was all torn up, and you only had Guardians on a virtual queue, which disqualified a lot of people from coming because they were like, I'm not going to get the virtual queue, let's go somewhere else.
So how many people...
It's not realistic.
According to them figures, how many did DAC and DHS lose in that same time? How many million?
So let's look here. And if you're watching the video, I'm squinting with my glasses off, and I can just put them right on.
600,000.
So we're showing 600K drop for Hollywood Studios. And then for Animal Kingdom, they lost about 300,000.
So, I mean, I can believe that 900,000 more people went to Epcot, and they've just changed where they've gone. I can believe that.
I don't see a big enough reason to shift a pattern that large. I don't see that. And it's not in Guardians. I'm sorry. I don't see that.
But
as someone who works with numbers every day, that is an improbable statistic.
all I can say is to speak for myself. On my last trip, I spent more time at Epcot than anywhere else, like at any of the other three parks, because as much as as you know, Ryan, as much as I've criticized Epcot before, it was just the better place to be, and it had Rewind. It was like Rewind was the main reason, but it was just the better place to be of all the four parks.
What's better
So,
about it? What of the 4 rides they have there is better about it?
it's just
There's 4 rides in the food court. How is that better than a different
because I
park?
just wanted to
Help
be
me
there,
out
and
here.
the stress of like I did hot pretty much did I got to MK at like 9:30 in the morning. I waited around for hours to get my VQ for Tron. Road Tron. I was like, no, I'm done with this park. I just can't deal with this park. Like, and it was a really quiet day. It was like a 4 out of 10 on touring plans, and like I got on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in about 30 minutes, and there was no reason for me to complain about being there for Magic Kingdom Day. You'd be like, oh, that was actually pretty good, but just there's nothing exciting there for me. Like it didn't excite me. Not to say that Epcot's got loads more exciting stuff, but it was just a better vibe. I just felt it was a much
If
more
I walk around,
like
there's more room to walk
enjoy,
around at Epcot.
yeah, enjoy it. Yeah, believe it or not, walking that mile around the lagoon was more
Yeah.
enjoyable than spending a few hours in Magic Kingdom. And the
I've
same
gone to
to
Epcot and just done laps before. Yeah.
So I think that says
Yeah.
a lot about the parks as a whole of what they're offering.
Ryan, anything else we can take out of this report real quick?
Nothing. I'm just looking at the water parks. Not hugely important, but Typhoon Lagoon #1, Volcano Bay #2, within 100,000 people.
Wow,
So,
that's saying a lot.
Volcano Bay
Where's-
is right up there now with the other water parks.
I think that speaks to locals and how much hotel traffic Universal's been able to siphon off of Disney also.
Right. Blizzard Beach is
'Cause
not
we'll go
on this list because it wasn't open for the entirety
was
of
never open.
2023.
Yeah.
So,
We were there on New Year's Day of 2023, and I think it closed after. Okay, all right. Let's move on now. We have some new... This stuff gives me a headache so much. Ugh, we got new stuff for the DAS program, or what is it called? Is it still called DAS, or
Disney Accessibility
Access
Service
Card?
or Disability
Jeez,
Access.
what's happened now? What have they done now? How have they messed this up even more?
So, it's still the same rotten system that people hate because, well, mainly recently, a guest who was a terminal cancer patient was denied the Disability Access Service. Now where it gets spicy is Universal, right before or like as Horror Nights is getting started, they got rid of their Disability Access Service that's similar, where you have to go online and chat with someone that's like a medical person. I don't know.
Yeah.
They did away with that. So now all you have to do is go to guest services and explain why you need it, just like before. So
Let's go back to the
reverted.
stage 4 cancer patient. And I haven't seen a report or a video or anything about this. Why did the person say, what about having the cancer? Were they in a wheelchair? Was it, let's get specific here. What happened that they needed the access?
That
Because I don't
is
know cancer
basically
well
the
enough to
thing
know
is-
how this manifested.
let me get the article up. Sorry.
Yeah, it has gone relatively quiet about generally, or like the complaints that we had at the beginning. I've not really seen people still complaining.
Oh, I have.
Because you also had people who were saying, this is not a stage 4 cancer patient, saying like, oh, I've got restless leg syndrome, or I have ADHD, or I have whatever what some people thought were frivolous conditions, and they were wanting the same exact service. And Disney was saying that does not preclude you from standing in a long line, according to their system. So some people who were taking advantage of the system, let's admit, some people were taking advantage of the system, were pretty upset about the changes. Obviously, their little hacks that they were sharing on Facebook groups were starting to fall apart.
Yeah, I know. When we're talking a guest with who's not going to be on this planet for much longer, I don't know. I'm happy allowing them to cut in front of me in line.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think anyone would
this is my thing
disagree
though,
with
is that what happens then, because this is how Disney fans are, the next thing you know, you have people who are perfectly fine. You know it's true, who are perfectly fine, are going to show up going, oh, I got stage 4 cancer too, let me cut. So are they asking for proof? Are they not asking for proof? How are they? Because people will game the system, and people are horrible, and they will do that, and you know they will do that. So what is Disney saying or giving a reasoning for that?
The guest who was denied says that the worker was rude, told me they would not help her because she was recording. I don't know. It was a whole crazy situation.
So it wasn't about the
cancer.
cancer itself. It was probably people can tend to get hostile on both sides and take things personally.
It was a viral, yeah.
It
TikTok,
spirals out of control.
pretty much.
Yeah, it spirals out of control at that point. Once the camera comes out and you put a camera in a worker's face, any help you were trying to get, you guarantee it's not going to happen at that point. Once you start putting a camera in someone's face, a customer service person's face, it ain't going to happen. So you've already lost the plot at that point. Yeah. Still sad to see. Yeah, I think if you have stage 4 cancer, something should be done, I think.
It is interesting. A lot of negative publicity is coming at Disney because of this, and now Universal reverted even after not getting much backlash for having that thing. So it could be...
Well, and everything Universal does in the next year, you got to think about they're doing this to prepare for Epic.
Exactly.
So whatever policy change they have, it's all preparing for Epic. So it's a 1-2 punch. So that's the first punch. So what's the next punch they have to set up to prepare for Epic? So
I
keep
believe
that in
it
mind
was,
when they start making changes.
Tom Corliss who brought up the fact that Universal started that service right before Horror Nights started last year, and then they got rid of it right after Horror Nights began this year. So they got everyone's money from the express passes for these 2 Horror Nights before getting rid of that.
All right, let's do this. Tommy, you are the CEO of Disney Parks and Experiences and Products and Cruise Ships.
We're screwed.
What policy do you put in place to accommodate for people who cannot stand in line for a long time?
That's a really difficult one, isn't it? Because with your to navigate that with your, what do you call it? I've forgotten the name of it. Like the equivalent to GDPR, like your privacy thing of not needing to just HIPAA is that.
Well, let's pause there. HIPAA does not mean I can't go to someone and say, "Hey, Tommy has stage 4 cancer." HIPAA is to stop healthcare professionals from sharing information about you. It's not to stop companies from sharing that. The HIPAA only is limitations on healthcare providers sharing your information. That's what HIPAA is.
That's often quoted as a reason why that people like Disney can't use third parties. But for me, if you use a third party and they are actual doctors and actual nurses, and they say, look, we will bend over backwards to accommodate your medical needs if you're happy to share that information as some sort of proof. You know, if I needed to provide proof that there was a specific reason I needed to jump the line, I would gladly do that if it meant that my vacation, which in this scenario could be my last ever, I would happily provide that. I'm pretty sure most people would do that, but it seems that there's a few people that, not everyone's lying, obviously, but some people are lying, and there's some people that want to have their cake and eat it. They want to be able to get the access to that service, but aren't prepared to prove in any way, shape or form, and cite my privacy, HIPAA, my privacy, as a reason not to prove that. So for that,
and
it
it's
is
not
very
what HIPAA is either. They're misquoting, or they don't know what HIPAA is.
They don't ask you for
and you're
any
right, because they're
diagnosis or proof or anything.
The only way it gets difficult, and I guess probably in this country would actually be the same, is that there would be a cost to providing evidence sometimes. However, I'm pretty sure that if someone's got a letter from their hospital or whatever saying, oh, you know, Mr. Wakefield, your appointment for chemotherapy, da 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 da, you just whip out this letter and go, look, here's proof.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't really be costing you to go, like, I don't know what your doctors would charge, like $300-400 just for a letter to provide proof of something crazy like that. But in this country, it'd be like 20 quid if you needed a doctor's note or a doctor's letter. So for me,
I think we're seeing the pendulum swing from don't ask people what's wrong with them, don't assume someone's diagnosis, don't judge anyone ever at all, don't ever do it. And we did that for a while, and it got out of control because people were self-diagnosing themselves with autism and ADHD, and I have this and I have that, and they weren't going to doctors because we were just taking their word for it. And now it's swinging in the other direction to we need some proof here because it's gotten out of control.
but for me, it's a simple case of ask for proof, get proof, but then make it as easy as possible for those people that are happy and willing to provide that proof to have the best experience, to create that equity for the reason that DAS exists in the first place, you know. And
a lot of the initial friction was that there was disagreement between patients and Disney of what was a condition that would preclude you from standing in line. So Disney was saying it's autism. If you have autism, then we don't want you to stand in line for a long time. If you are in a wheelchair because you broke your leg, you can stand in line. The lines are long enough for wheelchairs. And people who were in wheelchairs were saying, no, we need a card for this. So that's where it initially got really hairy. It was people were, I have ADHD, I can't stand in line. And Disney was like, you can stand in line with ADHD. It's perfectly fine. Or I have this horrible medical condition where my heart could stop at any moment. I need a card. And Disney was saying, if your heart's going to stop in standby, it's also going to stop in the DAS line. So, and those DAS lines can still be upwards of an hour for a lot of popular rides. So it's not a guaranteed 10-minute get you on the ride line either. I think a lot of people forget that getting a DAS pass for a lot of attractions, you're just going into the fast pass queue or whatever they call it now, and those can be upward. We've seen the videos upwards of an hour to a half.
Yeah.
So if you have a drop dead heart condition syndrome, it can happen in standby or it could happen in a DAS line.
It seems to have flipped the other way in terms of, and this is obviously very online people that even asking legit questions. Oh, you're being ableist. Or you're assuming, or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, like true equality and equity for people with disabilities is that it's a level playing field. Yeah, and if it means that you need to adapt your ride, so halfway in the rides there is a bathroom, or it means you need to widen your queue so that someone with an ECV or a wheelchair can easily get through the queue, then that's what you do. But then you've created that level playing field and everyone is treated the same. But there does seem to be this sort of element with some people, and most certainly not all, where that's not good enough, that they need more than that. They're like, and I think a lot, but 100% not all of the people, some people is they just want to be exceptional, and they just want, like, they don't want to wait. That it is, my IBS. Well, it's not.
Yeah, that's what it was. IBS. That's what it was. Yeah, it was IBS. We've seen a lot of people. I don't know how it is for you in the UK, Tommy, but Ryan, you might know. We've seen a lot of people over the last 5-10 years self-diagnose themselves with these conditions and then use that to garner sympathy or attention or perks or whatever it is. We see a lot of people who, by birth, by their race, their gender, are not subject to being victimized by society, and they, for some reason, deliberately want to put themselves into a group of people who are victimized. And suddenly I'm disabled now, so I get to be a victim too. And we've seen a rise in that, or I get to be part of this exclusive group where I get these exceptions made for me. And I've seen it personally here in my hometown from a lot of people. So it's just a matter of, like I said, that pendulum swung way too far, and now Disney is trying to compensate. And unfortunately, the people who really need help, like always, are stuck in the middle and getting caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
It does.
And I saw people when this first rolled out saying, I cannot wait more than half an hour in line. I need a pass. A DAS pass will not stop you. That's not going to help you. That's not what that's for.
Right. You're just
So-
waiting outside of line.
Unfortunate.
Well, at
Yeah.
least that the way.
Yeah, and even when you
universes
get in
work.
that queue, it can still be upwards to half an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
One more thing to come out of this DAS change slash Lightning Lane improvement is it an improvement? Do we think it's an improvement over Genie? I think it's just a different problem now. But they're
It's a new paint a coat.
their
as we
rumor
say.
is they're introducing a Premier Lightning Lane pass, which will be similar to Universal's Express Pass, and where you pay one flat price, which will change based on the date, of course. But you pay that amount, and you get to ride everything in the park once through the Lightning Lane. Obviously, it'll be a premium price. But
The difficulty with that is relative, and if you talk about the visitor numbers relative to the number of rides and activities that you can go at Islands and Universal Studios, is relatively Universal has the inventory and has the capacity to be able to offer that extreme cost, if you like, of Express or as incorporated into their perks of their hotels, and be able to do that. But for me, I'd be really interested into, like, at what point, if you got rid of all of the cheap ass Lightning Lane, and you got to the point where, like, there's parity in terms of accessibility for people getting on the Lightning Lanes very, very quickly, and all the rest of it, is what that true cost would be to be able to accommodate that and make it as profitable. I would expect it to be in the hundreds of dollars
I was
per day.
thinking close to $270 per person. At
Wow.
least.
And it's at that point when it's like, well, then you've just created a two-tiered theme park system, haven't you? And there
Yeah.
would be people that would be willing to pay that.
And yeah,
Oh, of course.
this.
And we've
in
seen this
turn-
already. Someone ran the numbers where it was like Tron was bringing in an extra $95 million a year just in Genie Plus passes alone. So
Yeah.
the genie's out of the bottle here, no pun intended, that it's going to be hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube because Disney is getting hooked on this easy money. This is easy money for Disney. And the ramifications are going to be horrible.
At what
We've already
point?
seen.
At what point do they are they ever going to think, you know what? If we just built more rides and increased our capacity, we could make fuckloads more money that way with our hotel bookings and everything.
Okay, here's why that won't happen, and I need people to understand how modern day Disney hierarchy works. You have the Disney Corporation, and you have Disney Parks and Resorts and whatever, and the parks are filled with upper and middle managers in different departments, VPs, executive VPs, whose salary, whose income is based on annual and quarterly bonuses. Those bonuses are calculated solely, mostly, from profit margins. You have to hit a certain profit target to get your annual bonus. The way it works now is, in these corporations, no one's there for life. You have very few lifers. I'm going to do this job for 5-6 years and move on to the next company and get the next step up on the ladder. So these managers, these executives who are making these decisions are solely looking at how can I move the needle enough to hit my bonus margin. And that is all they look at because there are hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake for these managers to hit their annual and quarterly bonuses. And building a new ride or shutting something down or increasing maintenance costs are going to affect if I make that bonus or not. And if I want that extra $20K at the end of the year, I got to hit that bonus margin. That's what it's
And I
based
get
off
that.
of.
I get that. I don't like it, and I despise
Profit.
that they would do that. However, what I would
I'm not going to
argue,
be here in 4 years anyway, so what's it matter if it's going to suck in 4 years? I'm going to be gone to the next company. I'm going to go to Dell. I'm going to go to Google and work for them. So fuck the next 4 years.
but with that, I'd argue though that that's not the only way of doing things, right?
It's no, we know it's not. We know it's not, but it takes long-term thinking, and they don't think that way.
No, and what I'm saying is NBC Universal have got management that go, well, like if we invest, we're going to make more money as a company. So therefore, that's why we're dropping like 5 billion on Epic Universe. That's why we're going to drop 5 billion on Universal Studios Great Britain, and going, because we're going to make that money back, and we're going to make a lot more money back by doing that. So it's just just like, how do you change that? Is it new
tough.
management at Disney, like
Yes.
like complete, like from the top down?
The first step is getting Disney Plus profitable, because the entire company is feeling pressured to get more revenue and profit because they're having to subsidize Disney Plus in those massive losses. So that's the first step, is getting that operation profitable enough that you don't have to come suck off the teat of theme parks to make up that money.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
very true.
Easier said than done. I don't think there's
Yes.
a reality where streaming is more profitable at all. I think we.
However, I would
maximize streaming's
argue,
profit.
and this is probably due to necessity, etc., but they've managed to argue the whatever it is, the 10, 17, I can't even remember what magical numbers they're saying they're going to spend in the next decade for the parks, like both coasts,
I believe
is
it
that they
was-
managed to get that past the board or whoever and go, right, if we spend this, then we'll get money. So that,
Yeah, because half of
there
it's
is-
going to cruise ships that are super profitable.
yeah.
That part they're smart about, because again, it's about profit, 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 and those cruise ships are pure profit machines practically. So that's a slam dunk.
So
When it comes to the parks, there's no long term thinking, because those people are not going to be there long term, so they don't care enough.
So talking about that, like, it kind of brings us probably to one of the other points on our list about the Cars Land, Rivers, Tom Sawyer Island, and that they actually are going to spend a bit of money soon-ish, maybe. But what's
And
the
this
date
caused a
for
lot of
that?
outrage. This caused a lot of outrage. If someone missed it, they're going to fill in a portion of the Rivers of America and Magic Kingdom to build what we think is going to be a Cars Land. If this even happens, again, I'm still not sure it's going to happen.
Well-
If it happens, that's the plan. And
It's
people
funny
are
you
really
say
upset
if
about
it
that.
happens, because there was a monkey wrench thrown into this, because the
God.
Central Florida Tourism Oversight Board decided they didn't approve the permits that are going for the water. What do you call it? Drainage.
But I
first
warned you all, didn't I? I warned you all that it's that part of it will not be easy, because that's the drainage basin. It's not like, like Universal got the fountain for Epic Universe, and it's a standalone body of water, but surrounded by that they've got all them drainage ponds. I did the video on it, but
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
that the Rivers of America isn't just, it's connected to the waterways, and a lot of the rainwater is going to be draining into that space.
Yeah.
So it's quite tricky, shall we say, to get that right. But it could be that they're just sort of arguing on that point, as opposed to
Yeah.
that they just need to figure that out a bit better than what they have.
This
You
would
would
be their
think,
first pass at it.
yeah. So for me, I wouldn't be worried too much about that. But if and I've always said that if the will is there from Disney, these things will happen. And it seems to me that out of necessity, the will is very much there. So
My question is, in 2024, how are Disney fans still getting upset when something gets shut down or taken away or changed? There are no sacred cows at Disney parks. Stop throwing these fits and getting shocked and surprised. And how could Walt would never? There are no sacred cows. You should, if you don't know that by now, you are not paying attention.
Yeah, these people
You're
who
not
are,
paying
who are
attention.
coming in being like, oh, they're removing all the history. It's so great, because
let's imagine.
And I
12 years
love,
ago when
I
they
love,
closed Snow White's Scary Adventures.
right.
They
Well,
closed
when they
a
closed the
dozen
damn
other
the
things.
subs.
Yeah, they closed
subs.
thousands of. They closed so many things that were so much more important. Who cares?
The
anymore?
People Mover and Disneyland. There are no sacred, and I love Tom Sawyer. I go there every time. I have great memories there with my daughter playing in the fort. We were just there earlier in the summer, and we had a blast. And I love it. I adore it. But I just know there are no sacred cows in everything is on the table.
only
Nothing is
reason-
off limits.
The only reason we have the things we do now that we consider sacred is because they don't have the money to trample over them already. Like,
Right. Stop
Yeah,
being
and at the
shocked
end of
by
the
this.
day,
Stop being caught off
literally,
guard. How could
the
they?
the days and weeks after this announcement, did we see a spike in people going on Rivers of America? No, we didn't.
Of course
No,
not.
like it didn't
No.
change. Nothing changed.
it's still empty. Nobody goes
And I do
there.
think,
Nobody
honestly-
goes
And I
to
told you-
Counselor Island. Nobody rides the riverboat. It's empty capacity, and it's a huge chunk of space that isn't being utilized by the, what is it, 40 to 50,000 people that are there every day?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I knew back in May, I told you guys when I was there in May, I said I'm taking my last look at Tom Sawyer Island because I knew ahead of time this is going to happen. And it's not that big of a surprise. I told Brian, you've known this, I told you 10 years ago, they have plans to fill in Rivers of America. They have had plans on the books for over a decade now. And I told you all this. If you listen to the old Wakefield Report or the old Universal Now shows we used to do, Orlando Now shows we used to do, this is not news. This is not shocking. People inside the loop knew this for a long time.
Because it's the most obvious solution.
It's free land.
So they're going to take, and also when I looked into it, like, you know how I normally do a bit of analysis and stuff like that. And it was like, the way that they can do it is a way that they would minimize the disruption to the park, right? Because by building that bit first, they haven't got to close the train line, because it was always, oh, the train line's we've just got the train line back and now we're gonna lose it again. And it's like, well, actually this what they want to do in the actual specific location in the rivers, and just by utilizing the natural thing of the river itself, this is going to be very easy for them to do and still have a operating park, which, as we just talked about, is the busiest park in the world. So it's like, it makes sense what they've done from a practical, and just like you said, no one's riding that ride anyway, and it's just so much space. So I just can't, and I saw people announcing that they're going to write a letter and all this stuff, and I was just
Stop. How
like,
immature
come
is that?
on.
Get a life.
Sticking up for
Get a life.
Frontierland of all things. Do we since when do we care about the American West, the Old West?
Get
Are
a
Western
life.
movies popular? No, no. We do not watch. We do not watch westerns
Just
anymore.
think
And,
of your
and-
favorite Disney World ride and imagine it closing in the next 10 years, because it probably will. Period. Just get used to it.
But the thing is, right, and I get
Sorry.
it from an essentially what a lot of Disney people are that we deal with are like Uber fans. From an Uber fan point of view, I get the whole, oh, where does it fit in the timeline and all the rest of it. And let's be honest, most people that go to the parks, and I include myself in this, and I'm on this podcast with you, but when I'm at that park, I go on vibes. For real, like I go
Listen,
on vibes. Like I do not
I
give a
tr- I
fuck about the
tried-
historical time frame of when Big Thunder Mountain or whatever it may be. I just want to get on a ride and have fun and enjoy that
I
little.
tried
Which
fighting
none of
that
never
fight.
lined up.
I tried fighting that fight a long time ago about sight lines and verisimilitude and being immersed in an environment. I fought that fight, and I was called weird and to touch grass and what's it matter, because this new generation of Disney fans online, these influencers don't care about all that. So it's gone. That has left. That ship has sailed a long time ago, and we're never getting it back. Don't be concerned about being immersed. Don't worry about sight lines. They don't matter. Immersion does not matter. It's can we make a cool little
Yeah, but the
photo
push-
spot for you to get your photo and ride your ride. That's where we're going.
But the pushback of like everything they're doing in Epic Universe, where they're changing that and actually are giving you a self-contained thing, is like there's pushback from the Disney people, like, oh, Disney wouldn't do this, Disney wouldn't build a self-contained land and all this, and it's just like, well, you don't know that, and actually the industry will probably shift towards that kind of thing naturally. But for me, I really couldn't give a fuck what time frame the Cars ride fits in within what's in that area. Like, I don't care. I just want it open. I want it to not go down on a daily basis. I want to be able to get on the ride without having to spend $20 to do so. And I just want
I got
to
some
be
bad
able
news for you.
to have a good. Yeah, well, that's the thing. That the reality of it is, and especially talking about the technology of the ride, is when I tweeted about it, I said I really hope they make this very similar to the Donkey Kong concept, where it's a false floor, where it's a roller coaster. What that park needs is a ride that will not go down on the daily, and a roller coaster type ride will do that.
Yeah.
But
I don't think this is a
the
roller
speculation
coaster.
that it's going to be trackless vehicles, and I'm just like, if
No.
they do that,
Here we go. Yep.
yeah,
It'll be
downtime.
It'll be similar to the test track system. It'll not have the issues of the test track system, though. I'll tell you that.
Which famously goes down multiple times a
Yeah, but
day.
they can't operate. They can't operate it in the same weather in the weather they get at Epcot. So how would it be different
It's not
at Magic
the same.
Kingdom?
It's not like the principle is the same. It's a fake track with a real track under it, but that real
Slot
track
car.
is not going to be touched by anything.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The coaster type one, because as you know, the coaster type like underneath is reliable, which is why
Yeah.
certain rides do not go down as much as others. That's why Rewind definitely doesn't go down in the same way that the Star Wars ride does, which are the names Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah, Rise
Yeah,
of
that's the
Resistance
one.
has much more downtime.
That ride is
than-
dead to me,
than
by the way.
Cosmic
But carry on.
It's cute you two are debating this because it's never going to open to begin with, but that's fine.
It
Anyways.
is.
Okay, so
No,
why
it's
is
not.
put that one out there? Why is it not going to open? Or why do you think
Because Disney has shown us before they just have no willpower for this. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to give Disney
If
the
this
benefit of the doubt on
project
this.
that Josh
It's
DeMaro
huge.
hedged all his bets on at D23 and built up all of the, like, literally, this was the major blue sky announcement besides Villains Land, which we already knew about. You know, this
Now, okay, between the two, I think this would happen more than Villains Land would happen, like we discussed in the last show.
they need to
Yeah,
get
but the
to
time.
Villains
What's the
Land
time frame for this? 2028?
27. They said this.
27. So for Disney, that's the equivalent of when Universal built Transformers in 18 months, right? For them, they're putting a rush on this ride, aren't they?
If this doesn't
But
happen,
they've kicked the can down the road for the Villains Land.
Josh D'Amaro's head needs to be served on a silver platter to the CEO. What is he saying?
Well,
that
we learned
we are
recently
going to
that
be
he
doing
is on the
everything?
short list for E CEO.
And it won't happen if this doesn't happen. That's for sure.
But that's another conversation altogether. That article about the so-called shortlist, because that actual, if you read the article, was pretty much we've spoken to one people that do recruitment, and they think this. It wasn't a well-written article that was properly sourced, like we've had before with.
No,
some of the
it
Hollywood
was Josh
Reporter stuff.
DeMaro's team putting it out there, saying I'm on the short list. Just so you know, I'm on the short list.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was Josh DeMaro working the press.
It's politics.
Yeah, so I
All
believe
right,
that
let's
when I
march
see
on
it.
here. I mentioned virtual queues. Tron at Magic Kingdom is now standby.
Yay.
What are those wait times looking like?
So they're pretty they're pretty insane.
In
it
the
started out
heavily under visited park, as we've just discussed. Carry on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been hovering, like when it first opened it was hovering around 60 minutes. I've seen it recently going up around 160. It's very popular, of course. I don't know. I was confused when they announced this. I think that ride is hurting for capacity. And it's, one of those rides you got to crawl over the seat and everybody takes
Well, it's so
forever
short
getting
too.
the capacity on that ride is got to be bad. And I wouldn't be surprised if eventually Tiana's gets rid of virtual queue and Tron picks it back up. Because they can't be getting through close to 2,000 people an hour over there. It's probably closer to 1,000, to be honest.
I'd be interested to see what happens when people do start going back to the parks from summer next year. But I just don't see how
Yeah. I mean, it's
that park can operate with full standby anymore.
right.
One ride has got a, and also with Big Thunder being down for whatever time that's going to be down for the best part of a year or more, isn't it?
Yeah, probably around a year, probably 8 months, 10 months. Yeah, that park's gonna be hurting, and Tron's wait time is gonna be astronomical. I don't think many people are buying Lightning Lanes for Tron. I know it made 100 million in 1 year, but that's when it was hot and popular. I'd be
first year.
surprised if it reeled in half that this year.
For me, I feel it's a one and done for that park, and I don't think when you start getting the repeat visitors that people are going to be that fussed to go back on it. I think it was
Most
alright.
people want to do it at night too, so it's a nighttime ride. It's better at night. So.
It is sitting next to one of the most re-rideable attractions of all time in Space
What,
Mountain.
Autopia? Oh, okay.
Monsters Inc. Left.
And I just think it has
Carousel
tough
Progress.
competition. It's kind of out of place. We were clamoring for it when it opened in Shanghai. We were like, bring that here immediately. Now it seems like it works
Just
in our
what you wish for.
Tomorrowland, but I don't know.
Well, I mean,
That's the thing.
It's the only added capacity to the park since New Fantasyland opened.
Yeah.
So, if anything, it's a capacity add, which is rare
It
nowadays.
seems like every change at Magic Kingdom is adding capacity. You pretty much have to at this point with the
Yeah, but then
increases.
they immediately switch off another capacity tap, don't they? So like I just said, so they opened Tron and then immediately switched off Splash, which is now Tiana's. So then that's reopened as Tiana's. So then they're going to switch off Big Thunder. So at what point will we see a net gain in rides? It's going to be not for a while, is it? What will they switch off once they reopen Big Thunder? Surely there'll be something else that needs to go or needs to.
We're still missing capacity from when Stitch's Great Escape closed too. They haven't made up for that yet.
So it's like, where do you go with this stuff?
Yeah, I agree.
Unless they do go villains and then do aggressively build it. But all three of us are not gonna disagree that the chances of them aggressively doing that are pretty slim. Like it's gonna be a while if it does happen, right?
Yeah. They're going to add a meet and greet to New Fantasyland, and it's going to get that's what it's going to be. It's going to get pared down to that. It's going to get think tank down to that. All right, we're marching here on time. Also, let's go, Ryan. I saw the photo, but I didn't read the story yet of this couple that got kicked out of Club 33.
Yes, I'm glad you picked this. They were kicked out, I believe, a few years ago, and they've been suing Disney to try. Well, I don't think they can sue Disney to try to get back into the club. They're suing them for kicking them out, and saying they weren't.
Why were they getting kicked out?
So it's you go to Club 33. You gotta drink, of course. So these folks got hammered when they were at Club 33. Apparently, and according to stories, the wife was dropping F-bombs and the husband was drunk in public. So those were the main reasons why they were eliminated from Club 33, according to Disney, apparently.
Really? And is this in California?
Yes, Club 33 is in California, but they have Club 33s at Disney World too. So when you're a Club 33 member, you get an annual pass that lets you into all the Disney parks. I don't know I think just stateside. And then you get passes, about 50 passes to give out to anybody every year.
And
so then you get access
cost
to the
get into
lounges.
Club 33 is we think it's about $40,000, and then there's about $15,000 of annual fees. And then this is the kicker for me: when you actually go to the club and have a drink or have dinner, you got to pay for that too. The fees and the annual fee don't pay for anything. That just opens the door. You still got to pay your meat and pay for your drinks.
The only thing that I was surprised when I went there was that the prices of the stuff, that the drinks and food, weren't far off what you'd pay in some of the other medium food and drink places in the parks. Like that shocked me. I thought it would literally be hoity-toity, like $40 starters and.
Well, usually the cost of a meal at Club 33 in California is the cost of a one-day ticket. So if you want to do the standard meal at Club 33, that's the cost of it.
So the one I went to was a bit more not sit-down meal then. So that might be why.
It depends.
But
I mean, if you go to the one at Epcot, I've been to a couple of them. Those are a bit more a la carte options, yes. But the classic Club 30 experience in California that I've done several times, essentially you're just paying the cost of a 1 day ticket for your meal.
So is there more to this story then? Because surely of like a
Yes.
one-time
So
They have a
discretion,
case.
like
This
I was going
gentleman,
to say, like
this gentleman Scott is his name. He was discovered by park
Always a
security,
Scott.
keeled over a bench in California Adventure near the 1901 lounge, and they said it was because of a vestibular migraine, not that he was drunk. Triggered by red wine though. But so far they've spent $400,000 in legal costs suing Disney, trying to get back in, I guess, or I don't know what kind of restitution they want, but they own a golf course in Gilbert, Arizona, and they travel between Arizona and Disney. The wife, as they said, was dropping F-bombs and the husband was wasted. So, yeah, if Disney doesn't want you in their super exclusive club, they could probably get rid of you for any reason.
Yeah.
They don't have to
exactly.
accept
Yeah.
your money. So now you have to sue Disney and prove that they were out of line by kicking you out. And you have to prove that they didn't have the right to do that, which is much more difficult than just suing them for discrimination.
I guess most organizations or whatever you want to call it, if you had fucked up, would give you the opportunity to be like mea culpa, I'm so sorry, it won't happen again, give me a warning, like it won't happen again. Like, is that what's not is that what they're arguing, that they was given no opportunity to, I guess, correct their behavior? Is it that Disney are just like, no, you've screwed the pooch, that's it, you're one and done?
Apparently, I don't know what the significance of this is, but they subpoenaed Rebel Wilson. And
So
then she
potentially
didn't
they've
take the
heard
stand.
that. So they've, I guess they could argue that they're doing a whataboutism, isn't it? Or what? Like someone's told them, oh yeah, Rebel Wilson got really drunk and she didn't get, or something like that.
Right,
You,
maybe.
I think that sounds like that would be the way to go with that. If they can argue that other people have behaved in the same way and they haven't had their membership revoked.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to get a celebrity to say that, though. I wish Chris was here to hear that. Other things, it's just insane the amount of money they're willing to spend to sue Disney over their problem. $400,000 down the drain.
Is that what they've spent?
Yes, and just court.
Jesus. But that's at what point? It's like a point of principle. At what point are you like? I don't know. I just can't. I personally can't understand the mindset, but I can't understand the mindset of going to somewhere like that. Yes, it's a private club. Yes, like it's elitist and all the rest of it. But then showing your ass and acting like a complete dick. Like, I don't really. For me, like, you're not affording the respect that it deserves.
Right.
And there's people that dream of going to like Club 43 and never able to for financial whatever reason. So it's kind of like, it's just bizarre. I don't get that mindset. Like, why you'd have an opportunity like that, which lots of people respect, and then you just act like an entitled prick.
Yeah.
Which is what it sounds like.
They shined a light on the rest of the club, too. So they bring up that the worst part with Club 33 is 80% of all members are selling access, and they're selling all the merchandise. Apparently, a lot of the members are making money off of the tickets that they're given, or just selling, like getting people into the lounges and accepting money for that. Which you got to pay your dues, I guess. It's $40,000 or $10,000 per year for Club 33.
Yeah, I mean, that's bizarre. But I just can't believe that stuff like because like some of the other stuff that we know goes on with like these TikTokers and all this, like telling all these different hacks and all that. But when you walk in there, they take your name, and they obviously, so anything that you do in in the name of the member is tracked. I assume that if I had posted pictures and stuff on thing about my visit, that it would get back to the member. So you'd think that all these kind of potentially sketchy reselling stuff, that they would keep a track on that, and maybe
Yeah, right.
figure out that Mr. Barr is never brings the same guest twice. That like it's always different people every time.
I
Like,
don't, if there's no rule about that, I know that there are definitely people that bring others with them, and Disney encourages that because they want as many people to experience it as they can. But when you're going out of your way to sell access, that is a problem in my mind, because then you're spending your dues, your 40,000, 10,000, whatever it is, and then you're profiting off of it by basically, smuggling people in.
yeah, that's wild. Like, yeah, I think just from a organization that's very much on the numbers, like can probably bean count every single like chicken nugget that they sell and all the rest of it hasn't got like ways of tracking the Club 33 members and notice anomalies like
Right.
that popping up in the system. So
Yeah, I imagine it wouldn't be that hard to crack down on if they saw it as a problem. I just think it's the couple trying to, I don't know, slander Disney as much as possible so that they can win a case eventually, maybe. But
oh, so they spent 50,000 for their first year dues. I'm just reading the article now.
yeah, it's 50,000 to join, 10,000 a year to stay in it. And then they added Club 33s at Walt Disney World. They're not the full Club 33 like at Disneyland, but they have lounges at Disney's Hollywood Studios, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Magic Kingdom, all 4 parks. So
Oh, it says that they were after 5 years of membership, they were repeatedly slapped with member violations. So that to me, that tells a different story. That they were pretty much given like
yeah, they were a
opportunities to
problem.
modify their behavior.
They were a problem, and Disney finally saw a reason to get rid of them permanently, which is a good thing. And you can't have people who are so entitled that they think I can just spend however much money I want and I can do whatever I want in Disney.
Let's go to
And
this.
also,
Can we go to this story about Communicore Hall reopening? And I'm so upset Jay is not here right now, because Jay was one of the ones saying, wait until there's a festival. It's going to look better with the festival. You got to wait. There's not a festival happening. Well, the festival happened, and they opened Communicore Hall, and it looked just as depressing and bleak and dystopian as we thought it would.
100%.
hey, but there's more chairs, right?
I just
Haven't
don't
they?
understand.
That's the article that I saw. The more chairs one.
This is what I mean. We know who Disney is. Stop pretending that there's something else. We know they're telling us who they are. Stop. It's so silly. It's so silly. Minimum effort, maximum price.
Yep, literally the only things that have changed inside this building since the Food and Wine started, they opened up some of the windows that are inside to serve drinks, which they actually ran out of beer on the first day of the festival, funnily enough. And then they have the Festival Favorites booth open on the outside. And they added some more chairs. That's about all
And
they
how
did.
long was this closed for renovations? And
Well, it never closed, so it opened in the summer. They didn't do anything, basically. They just added some tables and chairs for food and
So
wine.
for me, the upside of this thing existing is that it's somewhere else to go and buy food and drink, and there's some seats on hand to be able to sit and eat and drink that stuff. That's an advantage over other areas of the park when the festival's running. But apart from that, like, yeah, like it's It's just it's
Like,
Disney.
when
It's
we had-
Disney. Also, can we talk about right? Now we're talking about Epcot and this Star Lord meet and greet. Like what the
That's
fuck?
coming up next.
Oh,
I just want to say
no.
this: when we had the Food and Wine Festival Center at Wonders of Life, like it was fully fledged. Like we had demonstrations, chefs cooking for people. Now we got a hallway with some chairs and macatizers, whatever those are.
Oh my
But yeah,
God.
Star Lord.
Yes, let's talk about Star Lord and his wig.
So
Star Lord's wig.
he
Well,
used
and
to-
Gamora. What the fuck?
is Gamora coming too? I thought it was just Star Lord.
Well, the picture, like, Mike posted an article, like, Blog Mickey posted an article, and the photo, like, some of the pictures in the article, the Star Lord looks slightly better than the picture that I can see. Is the guy? It's like, and I think I tweeted it. It's like the English parks when the English parks tried to do this kind of stuff, and it's just shit. It just looks like that. I'm like,
You're talking about
I'll
the
try and-
way the character looks.
Both of them just don't look. I think she's white. First of all, she doesn't look anything like Zoe Saldana in any way, shape, or form, and it just looks like a chubby guy that's got a blonde wig that he bought on Amazon. Like,
It's
let
a
me. I'm
community
gonna.
theater.
Right, I'm gonna send. I've sent it on the Twitter group chat. You can look at that picture, and by all means,
I've
tell me
personally
what you
had this
think.
problem with the Star Lord before when it was at Hollywood Studios. Yes, it looked very cosplay-ish, but I think the one they used for the commercial, the promotion on social media, I think he does a good job. Did you see the
Well,
video?
of course, yeah. They only hired him for one day.
That's the A team. That's like the launch day guy. He's not committed to
Bless
that
their
bit.
hearts.
The one
They're
where he's
trying.
dancing
I
through
just-
Living with the Land.
They're trying. They're trying.
Well,
All right, we
also,
got
do
time
know
for about
where
one more
this-
topic here.
Where is this Star Lord meet and greet going? Is it just in front of the ride? I think.
Probably in the least sensical place.
It'll be the opposite side of the
Yeah,
park,
it's gonna be
knowing
in front
them.
of the
Yeah,
land.
exactly.
It'll be in
Under
front of
test track.
whatever ride is doing the worst. Like they'll put it in front of Canada Pavilion and be like, well, you know, Star Lord visited Canada once on his way to Epcot.
No, God damn it, he was
right
born
in front
Canada.
of the theater. What's the Canada movie called? It'll be there.
Yeah. All right, we got time for one more here. Ryan, I'll let you pick. Pick your favorite out of what we have left.
So let's see. We
What did
haven't
Tim
talked-
Grassley do these notes? We got notes in here about animals and Animal Kingdom, about dolphins or
Yes.
manatees going
Oh,
away.
the seas. There. Yeah, that's
It's a
minor.
Tim
But
Grassley special.
they are getting rid of 3 dolphins at the Seas Pavilion, and they replaced a manatee. Now, the manatee that we got was clearly run over by a boat. It is mangled and definitely a rescue. Just a heads up, if you go to Epcot to look at it, it looks like it was.
Hey, look, I'll take a rescue manatee any day of the week. I'm not that fussed.
They're so stupid. These animals.
I mean,
sorry,
it's like,
manatees
it's
are the
not like they're gonna
dumbest
bite.
animals.
It's not like a rescue dog where there's a danger they might bite your kids. Come on.
No.
I think they're pretty
Poor
good.
animals. These poor stupid animals.
That's the other thing. That tank looks so small for the manatees. Like they're just swimming in a circle. For years.
Do we know why Disney is giving up their dolphins?
No.
I mean, they're very expensive to take care of. They're not
That-
cheap, so
And they have to.
again,
so
cost
they had
savings.
they had a special dolphin quest or tour where you could pay and swim with dolphins, and now that's gone.
It wasn't selling well. So dolphins, you're not carrying your own weight.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
You're not
dolphins
selling
are
enough tickets. You got to go.
are tired.
Right? Can we just talk about, for me, like there's all this list that we've got has been pretty much like meh for most of it, but we got the Helios like artwork revealed.
Right.
And to me, I thought most of it looked pretty amazing, and I really like the How to Train Your Dragon kid suites. Just give me your thoughts on that, because for me, it looks like it's taking these hotels to the next level, but other people have been a bit like,
you
no,
have
I don't
prices
like
yet?
it.
I don't think
One
Grand
half kidney.
Helios Grand Helios, I don't think Grand Helios looks that grand to me. I think it looks a lot like any other hotel. I don't know.
And this is the one located inside of Epic Universe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the big one. And I think
Yes.
I think Hard Rock honestly looks more luxurious than this place. I don't know.
We have
I
no
mean, I'm not
prices yet
saying
for
it,
this
and you
hotel.
can't. You can only go so much from the actual renderings, but I'm just talking like we've known for a while about the rooftop bar, and there's a ballroom up there and all sorts of stuff like that. But just the view down on the park, which like the rendering's only going to convey so far. I just think that it's just going to be so special of an evening if you can, book a restaurant table and you've got the park. Whether like that happens during the fountain show or not, I just think it's just going to be, it's taking Universal parks to the next level in terms of that experience. Like there's nothing that you can do right now,
The
other
real
than
question is, how are they going to keep all the park guests from just wandering through there all the time?
like in terms of there's an entrance, a security screening entrance, like that goes up into the hotel. But do they need to do that? Do they need to stop people going into the hotel? Like
I don't know.
I'm not talking about the first summer. I'm not talking about where this is brand new and all the clout chasers are going to want to like film. I'm just talking in general. Like their policy, just like Disney is pretty much that you can go there. You don't have to be a paying guest. Why would they suddenly change that policy?
So we stay at a lot of resorts around the world. My family does, and we've seen security at some resorts getting tighter and tighter, where they don't want looky-loos in these resorts. They don't want, and we stay at beachside resorts and some pretty good properties, and we just see security getting tighter and tighter, and just casual guests walking through is being cracked down on in some places we go to.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern for hotel operators lately.
And don't be surprised if Disney starts to crack down also.
Right. That's what I was gonna say.
But in
Disney
terms of
already
sort of-
turns everyone away from parking at any of their hotels. Doesn't matter if you have a dining reservation or anything. They want you parking somewhere else. They don't want people coming to their hotels.
And I think the only way you're going to be able to get to this hotel is unless you've literally got a reservation and you've got your parking that you've paid for in the parking garage of the hotel. I think the only way that people like us, if we're not staying in the hotel, is going to be by bus or going through. But in terms of, the only thing that I would worry about is that they have got security going back in. Is that if like hundreds or whatever people were allowed to go into the hotel and wander willy-nilly and then come back through security, that you're going to have a crazy line go to get back into the park. That's
Right.
really the only
That plus
the issue that
Which
they
is
would have to
inconvenient
worry
for paying
about.
guests.
if we're doing a nighttime spectacular with fireworks, people are going to want the best view possible. They see that huge hotel, everyone's going to want to go there to watch the fireworks.
And like when we go, so we've stayed at Grand Californian before a couple of times, and to get back into California Adventure from the hotel, you've got to prove that you're staying at the hotel to get back into the park. You just can't go be a day guest and walk through and be a looky-loo and then enter through that entrance for the park. They make you go all the way around downtown Disney and back in the normal way if you're not staying at the hotel.
Right.
But I'm not sure how practical that would be in terms of,
Yeah.
say, someone as well. It's going to be that you can get on at City Walk, hop on a bus, and end up at Grand Helios Hotel because they need that option to get hotel guests to that hotel. So I'm not sure that they would want to be in a scenario where they're turning people away and essentially sending them up Sand Lake Road or down Kirkman and go all the way around to the front of the park. That would be a bit insane to do that. But at the same time, I just don't know how they cope with the potential. But it could be that there's an independent lift, elevator, whatever you guys call it, elevator to the top floor bar. And that's it. And everyone else on all the other, to go to the other floors, you've got to scan your hotel thing to even operate the elevator, and it's a direct line straight up to the top, and you can go to the top of the hotel, you can go back down and through the lobby, but that's it. That's the only places you're going. In which case, if you're going to that top floor, you're probably spending money on the bar, all of the food or whatever, right? So
Just
I
something I would
just
keep an eye on. I was in Miami a couple of months ago, and we were staying at a pretty high end resort. And as soon as you walk in, if they don't know you or recognize you as a guest, they ask you right away. They point you straight to registration or something like that. I was at Vegas a few months ago in a hotel that didn't have a casino. They ask when you walk in, are you a guest here at the hotel? Before you even get to look around. So just keep an eye on it. I could see the trend happening. I could see it happening at Disney and obviously Universal. So, all right, we got to wrap it up. My kids will be here soon, and I got to make these Rugrats dinner. Tommy, where can we find you online?
at Tommy Hawkins on most things.
Ryan, what's your OnlyFans?
I don't have an OnlyFans, but I am on X at Imagineer6. Also, one last thing. Did you guys see the Wolfman at Horror Nights?
Oh my gosh. No. Sorry, no.
So they showed this monstrosity for a few hours one night when it was still daylight, and it got plenty of attention. It went viral on social media, and they didn't even make it.
Looking at it now.
It didn't even make it through the night. They got rid of the they recast the actor. It hasn't been seen since it appeared this one time, and this movie is coming out
poor
in
fella.
January. And they're showing off one of the characters. Now, we don't know that this is the actual Wolfman. If it is, and this is the main character of the movie, then people are rightly concerned. What I'm hearing,
Old man. This is a grumpy old man.
yeah, what I'm hearing is that this is the thing that infects the Wolfman, that causes the Wolfman to turn into the Wolfman and bites him.
Okay.
So that's all.
Okay. All right. We'll keep an eye on that too. You can find me everywhere at Wakefield Report. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at at E Ticket Report. Anything else for this week's show?
This week,
We're being optimistic. We'll come back next week. Maybe.
next week there'll be a ton of
Oh, well, I'm in 2 weeks. I'm going to Europa, so maybe by the next time we get together, I'll have not a trip report, because you know I don't do trip reports. Neither does Ryan, but that's a different reason. But I should have some good things to tell you about the top 18 theme park in the world, according to the T.
There you go.
if we're
And
to
I'll be in
believe the
Haiti
T.
in 3 weeks.
Very
On a Royal
nice.
Caribbean cruise, heading back to Haiti. So keep an eye and follow us on Twitter, not X, for all of that. All right, that's all we have for this week. We'll see you all next time.
later.